guys, Paulmartinbelts back again with a brand new video. This is going to be a detailed look at a brand new custom rail belt I've recently completed. As you can see right off the bat, this is a bit of a unique belt. It's not a wrestling or boxing or MMA belt. It's actually a tribute style belt, a sports tribute style belt to the Dutch football / soccer team Ajax. You may have seen in the past I did a similar tribute belt for myself, which is of the team I support, which is Celtic. This was ordered by a customer of mine who obviously supports Ajax. For those that don't know, they're a Dutch team based in Amsterdam and one of the most successful football clubs on the planet. So it was a real pleasure to actually work on this belt. There's a lot of aspects that can go into it based off of their honours that they've won, the trophies, the players, etc. But we'll get into that shortly. We'll start off with a quick run through of the strap. Ajax's colours traditionally are white and red. Traditionally their shirts have a combination of a red stripe. Their logo, as you can see, the crest on the centre plate has this red design with two thinner red stripes, which is kind of what I based the strap off of. So you can see the thicker red stripe and the two thinner red stripes with white in between. So that's kind of what the strap is based off of. But we'll start off from the left hand side. As you can see here, it's a white strap, of course, with the red detail behind the plates. And you can see on this end my signature there, crafted by Paul Martin. And it's got a 2x8 male snap box here with silver snaps. Now the tooling I actually did on the inside of the snap box is a bit unique. It's one that I've rarely ever done actually. And it's actually a real pleasure to work on because it gives it such a unique look. It's kind of this four-pronged star, which you can arrange into kind of a circular looking design. So I think it came out really nicely on this belt. It's, like I said, a unique design that I've not often used, but I think as a snap box design, it looks really nice. So it was a real pleasure to work on that. And moving on, we have these three vertical X's. Now you might notice them also on the center plate as well as the logo plate here. Now, as far as I'm led to believe, this is kind of a symbol of the city of Amsterdam. The logo plate itself is actually the crest of Amsterdam, so I included the three crosses, the three X's on the left-hand side of the belt here, and a little bit of tooling behind it to kind of just make it pop a little bit more, which I think actually looks really nice. This area of the strap often, if the other side has a logo plate or some tooling or some details, this is often left blank, so I thought I'd give it a little bit of design to it and something to it. So moving around the plates themselves, the border is a traditional camouflage style tool going from one side to the other, as you can see, top and bottom as well. Really nice cut. I did it a little bit of a wider cut because it's a white strap. You want to kind of see a bit of the leather itself. I like doing wider cuts on these coloured belts. I think it gives it a nice border to the plate itself. It looks really nice, I think. So like I said, camouflage tooling, but under the plates here you can see this, the red tooling there. You can see all that's beveled there, and of course we've got this kind of unique tooling on the inside, if we can pick it up there. So it's just to give it a little bit of extra detail, a little bit of extra unique look to it. I tried to make this a little bit different throughout. Moving on to the right hand side, like I said, this is the logo plate. This is the crest of the city of Amsterdam, and this is all written in Dutch, so I'm not going to even pretend to know what it says. And again, we got those three X's, the three crosses, a crown up top, and we got logo plate tooling, if you can tell, behind this, which I think came out really nicely, and a little bit of just more design similar to the other side there. Moving on to the right hand snap box, the female snap box, we've got a 2x5 snap set here, and again that four-pronged star tooling on the inside of the snap box here. You can see the light catching that design really quite nicely. It does create a really cool effect. It's, like I said, I've not used this tool nearly often enough, and I really do love the way it comes out. I think really prestigious looking tooling, really pleased with it. Again, silver snaps. The tip itself, as you can see, it's got a stacked plate on the tip. As you can see, that's Ajax's crest on the left hand side. Again, that three red line design, the thicker one with the two thinner outside, continued on here, and Ajax Amsterdam, which is actually plated in gold. I don't know how well that's going to show up. The rest of the plate is silver, nickel, but the actual writing itself is gold. So trying to get a shot of that to actually show up is proving quite difficult. You just probably have to take my word for it on that one. Yeah, I'm going to struggle to get a good shot of that, but like I said, this is a stacked piece on the tip, so it looks really nice. Really pleased with how it came out. You can kind of see the gold colouring there. Yeah, so really nice. We'll quickly show the backing of this belt, which might not show up because, shock of shocks, it's red and so is my background. I probably should have changed this for the background of this video, but I use it for all my videos, so it kind of felt like it needed to stay. But as you can see, it's actually a different shade of red, although that's not very obvious. Leather on here is a lot smoother than the background I use as well. You can see all the bolts are nicely covered up there, same with the male snaps on this side, logo plate there, and of course the snaps on the female side showing. So really nice smooth leather. It's a little bit more crimson than the background I used, but that's not going to show up, so we're going to get rid of this as quickly as possible so you can actually see the details of the belt. So we'll start off with the side plates. We'll go from the left hand side here. So it is a 5-plate belt plus logo plate, so this refers to as the 5 standard plates. The logo plate is an additional one there, and it has a stacked piece, which is the actual crest itself on the center plate, which we'll get onto. For the outer left side plate, we've got the Dutch National Football Association logo, KNVB. So that's like the English FA, the Scottish FA, etc. So that's their actual league association logo. And of course the league logo itself. So whereas you've got the Premier League, the La Liga, the Eredivisie in the Dutch league's case. So these plates are primarily silver nickel with a few gold highlights that hopefully are coming out quite nicely there. The borders of these two logos are gold, as well as the stone holders and the 2 outer borders of the outer border. I guess that's the best way to describe it. I hope that's coming up nicely there. I wanted to leave primarily a lot of silver because of the white being the colour of the club, but you need a little bit of gold to kind of highlight it there. These are red cubic zirconias, I should mention as well. The outer side plates, I've placed these cubic zirconias horizontally. On the inner side plates, they're top and bottom. So I think that creates quite a nice effect. The outer side plates both having them on the sides, the inner ones having them on the top and bottom. So again, there's a little bit of red and white paint in here just to kind of break up the design a little bit, but I really like how these have come out. Really pleased with this belt. So we'll move on to the inner left side plate. Here we have, again, the similar gold and nickel. So you can see the 2 borders are gold with nickel in between, as well as the stone holders. Now the trophies themselves have been left silver, obviously. Trophies in real life traditionally are silver. So this is actually the Dutch Cup, the KNVB Cup, and the Eredivisie League title. So that's the league trophy. So most people probably know the Premier League, so that's the Premier League title. That's the FA Cup equivalent for the Dutch League. So I hope that makes sense. So I think those trophies came out really nicely actually. So I hope that's showing up well on camera. I think the gold's coming out quite nicely from that angle. So we'll move on to the right hand side. We'll leave the center plate till last. Like I mentioned briefly, the logo plate is the crest of Amsterdam. Not much more to go into there. It's primarily all gold, as you can hopefully see. Okay, we'll move on to this furthest right side plate, and for those that don't know, this is one of the greatest footballers of all time, Johan Cruyff. Most will probably know him from his time at Ajax, some will know him from Barcelona, but yeah, Johan Cruyff, legendary Dutch player. Again, you can see the red cubic zirconias left and right, and a little bit of white paint with red details around his portrait. I really like doing portraits on belts. I think this came out really quite nicely. If we can get some good lighting, hopefully that's showing up there. Similarly, the same gold borders are highlighted here, as well as the gold ring actually around his portrait, which I hope is coming up all right. So as you can see, his dates as well, born 1947. He only passed away about 2 years ago, unfortunately. So yeah, often seen as Ajax's, well, and one of football's greatest ever players, so I thought it was appropriate to have his portrait on this belt. Moving on again, we have the probably 2 more recognisable trophies for those out with the Eredivisie. We've got the Champions League / European Cup and UEFA Cup / Europa League. So most will probably know this nowadays as the Champions League. Ajax have actually won the European Cup 4 times, 3 times in a row as led by Johan Cruyff, and then once in the mid-90s, I think it was 94, 95, I could be wrong on that. And of course the Europa League, which I believe they won UEFA Cup once. Not sure what year, unfortunately. I should have looked that up. Again, we've got the cubic zirconia in a gold border, same with the borders to this plate, gold again with the silver in between. So I think those came out really nicely. The trophies really came out nicely there. I'm really pleased with how these look. Again, they're nickel silver, so hopefully catching the light really nicely. Moving on to the center plate, we have the 3 stars at the top. This actually represents, like I mentioned, the 3 Champions League European Cup wins they had on the bounce. They have won 4 in total, but they traditionally have the stars referring to the triple, I guess. Basically what Real Madrid have done recently, back to back to back. Underneath there, we have in gold, hopefully the gold colouring is showing up a little bit better on the centre plate. We have a lot more gold. We have these kind of pronged designs coming up from the centre of the plate, which are gold, which hopefully catch the light really nicely. But underneath the stars here, highlighted in gold, we actually have Ajax's trophies. So from left to right, we have, this is the Intercontinental Cup and our defunct trophy. So they previously won that. We have the UEFA Super Cup, which is like the, well, it's the Super Cup for the winners of the Europa League / UEFA Cup versus the European Cup Champions League winners. So they've won that. UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, another defunct trophy which merged with the UEFA Cup. So that's the Cup Winners' Cup, the UEFA Cup / Europa League, European Cup / Champions League. This is the Eredivisie trophy that you can see on the side plate enlarged here. We have the KNVB Cup, again the league, the Dutch FA Cup, as you can see here. And then we have the Dutch Super Cup, which is actually the Johan Cruyff Shield. I don't know if the writing on above that's going to come out very well, but it actually does say Johan Cruyff. I believe it says something along the lines of Schul, which I'm assuming is Dutch. Should have done my research a bit more, but again, that's Johan Cruyff on the outer right side plate. So moving down the plate, we have white cubic zirconias there, and on the side of each plate, white cubic zirconia with the red one again. And we have these pillars, which again, the 3 X's refer to the city of Amsterdam. So we've got that either side of the center plate. So I think that creates a really nice effect. I like having a design either side of the center plate, and I think these pillars look really good. Being in nickel, they catch the light really nicely, especially against the contrast of the gold that's on this plate. Moving down again, we have more red and white coloring, same at the bottom. We have this imitation nameplate, which I really liked doing. I liked doing the actual imitation bolts on this in nickel, which I think came out really nicely. You might be able to see my logo underneath there very faintly. And move on to the main portion of this belt, the big standout point, which is the crest of Ajax themselves. So as you can see there, Ajax Amsterdam. This is bordered in a nice gold border, which I hope the colours are going to show up quite nicely there. This gold border has red cubic zirconias all the way around, which do catch the light really nicely. Really nice looking belt. As you can see, of course, that is stacked. So it does pop from the plate, creates a nice effect. Also, these things on the side of the plate, these horizontal lines, I love doing these on belts because of the way they also catch the light. So hopefully, if you focus on this area here, where is it? You can kind of see it lights up almost in certain angles. There we go, that's what I was looking for. So you can see it lights up. This was always a design I liked. It was on the Jeff Hardy Immortal belt by Top Rope Belts. It always had details in horizontal lines, which whenever the belt moved, it would kind of shine and sparkle in a different way to the rest of the belt. So I like including things like that on belts. I think it creates a nice effect. Depending on how you hold the belt, it might shine differently, which I think always looks cool. So again, plate is stacked, as you can see there. These are, of course, 4mm thick plates. It's a real belt, so it's got the proper ring usable plates. The stacked plate came out really nicely though. Really, really thrilled with this belt. As you can see there. So hopefully all these gold highlights coming out quite nicely. That's a pretty good angle there, kind of showing the light. But yeah, I think this is pretty much everything there was to say about this belt. This video has gone on pretty long, it's almost 15 minutes, so we'll try and wrap it up now. Again, this is traditionally a 5-plate belt plus logo plate with stacked piece on the center plate. It is dual plated in nickel and gold and does feature many cubic zirconia stones, primarily the red ones, which feature on all the plates except for the logo plate. So yeah, thank you very much again for watching. If you have any questions about this belt, please leave them in the comment section below. I am really excited to hear what the owner of this belt thinks once he receives it. It has been an absolute pleasure to work on. Definitely one of my favourite belts I've ever actually created, and it's going to be a shame to see it go. I'm thinking I might have to redesign my own Celtic belt in a similar style to this. We'll see about that, but yeah, we'll put that on the back burner for now. That being said, thank you very much for watching. If you've got a football team you support, this is mainly for the Europeans, this question, what team would you like to see a belt for? Obviously, unless someone purchases it, I'm not going to do it, but just a question to throw out there. I might do my Celtic belt redone again at some point, so we'll see. That being said, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel for more belt videos. Goodbye.